3,000 meters below the surface, where sunlight died an hour ago. Something is hunting. The water here isn't just dark. It's a pressure chamber, one that would crush human bones into splinters. 10 atmospheres of force per square inch. Cold enough to stop your heart in moments. And in this void, a sperm whale has just detected movement. Its heart slows. 60 beats per minute at the surface, now down to 10. The whale's body is shutting down everything non-essential, redirecting oxygen to the brain and muscles. It's been holding its breath for 40 minutes. Then, it fires. A sound so loud it could rupture your eardrums. Rapid-fire clicks hammer through the darkness like underwater gunfire, each one carrying more acoustic energy than a jet engine at takeoff. The whale is scanning, mapping, building a three-dimensional image of something enormous moving in the depths below. And then, the echo comes back. Something with arms longer than a bus. A body studded with suckers ringed in razor-sharp hooks. The largest invertebrate on Earth. A giant squid. For most animals on Earth, life happens in the light. But sperm whales live in a world almost no creature ever enters. A vertical universe stretching miles beneath the surface, where pressure crushes metal and sunlight has never existed. What makes sperm whales so strange is not just their size, or their brain, or their power. It's how little we actually know about them. For an animal as big as an airplane, they are practically invisible. They spend more than 70% of their lives in a zone humans cannot reach. A place so deep, our submarines struggle to survive for even a few minutes. And almost none of it has ever been witnessed. We study lions, tigers, sharks, because we can see them. But sperm whales, we study shadows, echoes, scars. They are the closest thing Earth has to real sea monsters. Not in the sense of being terrifying, but in the sense of being unknown. Even their daily routines are a mystery. We still don't know how they choose when to dive, how long they actually sleep, or how they navigate oceans the size of continents. Sometimes, scientists observe entire groups of sperm whales just floating vertically in the water, motionless, like a drifting forest of gray pillars, sleeping upright. No one knows why. Then there's the way they communicate. Sperm whales speak in sequences of clicks called codas. Patterns so complex, some scientists think they may form regional dialects. Or perhaps the early structure of a true language. Imagine an animal whose brain is 6 times larger than ours, living in a world we've never seen, speaking in a code we still don't fully understand. Every once in a while, the deep allows a glimpse, and when it does, it changes everything. Divers have encountered sperm whales in moments that shouldn't be possible. You're hanging there in open water, weightless, vulnerable, and then something enormous moves toward you through the blue. The clicks start softer than you'd expect. deliberate. The whale is scanning you from the inside out, your lungs, your ribs, your heartbeat, building a full three-dimensional image of what you are. And then it just hovers there, watching. Sometimes they tilt their bodies, positioning themselves to read the echoes better. Sometimes they circle slowly, clicking in patterns that sound almost conversational. And in rare moments, moments that leave people shaking, they respond. These aren't coincidences. These are interactions. Because here's what breaks you. These animals have brains 6 times larger than ours. They possess the same neural structures linked to compassion, love, and language in humans. And they've had them for 15 million years longer than we have. They might be speaking one of the most advanced languages on Earth. And despite everything we've done to them, the centuries of slaughter, the near extinction, when we enter their world defenseless and curious, they don't flee. They don't attack. They turn around. They try to understand us. Giants with the power to kill, choosing instead to communicate, to connect. We hunted them to the edge of extinction, and still, they led us close enough to realize we're in the presence of an intelligence we've barely begun to comprehend. A mind reaching out to meet ours. For centuries, humans only knew sperm whales from the surface, and everything about them felt wrong. Sailors in the 1700s called them sea devils, leviathans. Some thought they were the Kraken itself, the monster from the stories, rising from the abyss to drag ships into the deep. Because when you're standing on the deck of a wooden vessel in the middle of the Atlantic, and a 15-meter-long head emerges from the fog, breathing out a plume of mist that smells like death, you don't think mammal, you think nightmare. The sounds didn't help. Ships would pass through open ocean and hear it, loud rhythmic knocking coming from below. Like something enormous hammering against the hull from underneath. Crews thought they were being stalked. Some believed it was spirits. Others thought the ship was breaking apart. It was sperm whales communicating. And then there were the scars. When whalers finally started killing these animals in numbers large enough to examine them closely, they found something that terrified them. Circular marks covering the whales' heads and bodies, some nearly a foot across, ringed with smaller cuts like teeth marks, suction cup scars. If the whales looked like this, what the hell were they fighting? The myth of the giant squid was born not from imagination, but from evidence carved into living flesh. But the fear became real in 1820. The whaling ship Essex was rammed by a sperm whale in the middle of the Pacific. Not accidentally, deliberately. The whale struck the ship twice, stove in the hull, and sank it. The crew spent months adrift in lifeboats. Some resorted to cannibalism to survive. The survivors told stories of a whale that seemed aware, angry, vengeful. Herman Melville heard those stories, and 30 years later, he wrote Moby Dick. The white whale wasn't fiction. It was fear given a name. Fear of something massive and powerful that lived in a world we couldn't enter, but that could reach up and destroy us anyway. In the 1700s, sperm whales became the most valuable animals on Earth. Not because of what they were, because of what they carried. Inside that massive head packed into the spermaceti organ was oil, clear, odorless, and unlike anything else in nature. It didn't smoke when it burned. It didn't freeze in winter. It lubricated machinery better than anything humans had ever discovered. And it lit lamps brighter and cleaner than any other fuel. Spermaceti oil powered the Industrial Revolution. It lit entire cities. It kept factory machines running. It was liquid gold. And so the hunt began. Whaling ships left ports in New England, traveling across entire oceans for months, sometimes years at a time. Crews scanning the horizon every day, looking for that telltale blow. The moment they spotted one, the chase started. Small boats launched, harpoons ready, rowing toward animals the size of buses. Whales thrashing in agony, the ocean turning red, their blows turning from breath to blood spray. And the sounds they made, low, mournful calls that carried for miles underwater. Panic sounds, distress calls to the rest of the pod. Other whales heard them and they learned. Sperm whale pods started fleeing at the sight of ships. Mothers positioned themselves between boats and their calves. Some fought back, smashing boats with their tails, dragging crews underwater. But they couldn't fight harpoons. They couldn't outrun ships with sails and later steam engines. By the mid-1800s, the oceans were full of whaling fleets. American ships, British, Dutch, Japanese, all hunting the same animal, driving populations toward collapse. Some areas that once hosted hundreds of whales saw their numbers drop to single digits. But sperm whales are slow to recover. Females don't reach sexual maturity until they're 9 years old. Pregnancies last 15 months, a single calf every 5 to 7 years. You can't sustain a population that reproduces that slowly when you're killing thousands annually. By the early 1900s, sperm whale populations had crashed. Some estimates suggest we killed over 1 million of them, maybe more. Entire regional populations were wiped out. Genetic diversity collapsed. And then finally, in 1986, the global whaling moratorium took effect. Too late for many, but just in time for some. Sperm whale numbers have slowly recovered, not to what they were, nothing close, but enough that they're no longer on the immediate edge of extinction. They survived barely. We nearly erased them from the planet, but we never understood them. To understand who sperm whales really are, we have to go back to the deep. Here's the thing about diving 3,000 meters below the surface. The pressure at that depth is roughly 300 times what we experience at sea level. Enough to crush a car into a cube. Enough to implode a submarine if it's not built perfectly. And yet, sperm whales do this dozens of times a day, holding their breath for over an hour, then effortlessly swimming back to the surface like it's nothing. They shouldn't exist, but they do. And every part of their body is a solution to a problem that would kill anything else. Start with the head. That massive square 9 meters long battering ram isn't just for show. It's a biological sonar cannon. Inside is an organ called the spermaceti, filled with up to a ton of waxy oil. Sound originates deep in the whale's nasal passages, travels through this oil, which focuses it like an acoustic lens, then fires forward in a directional beam. The result? Clicks registering at 230 decibels. For context, a jet engine at full throttle is 140 decibels. We're talking about sound energy thousands of times more intense. Loud enough that divers have reported feeling the clicks pass through their chest like a physical punch. Now look at the body. Sperm whales don't just hold their breath. They actively collapse their lungs during descent. This prevents nitrogen from dissolving into their blood, the same process that gives human divers the bends. Their ribs are flexible, bending inward under pressure instead of snapping. Their blood carries hemoglobin concentrations far higher than ours, binding oxygen more efficiently. And their muscles are packed with myoglobin, a protein that stores oxygen directly in tissue. So much of it that their flesh is almost black. When the whale dives, it's not just relying on the air in its lungs. It's running on oxygen stored in every fiber of muscle in its body. The heart itself is a masterpiece of biological engineering. At the surface, 60 beats per minute. During a dive, it drops to 10. The whale is essentially putting itself into a controlled state of near shutdown, redirecting blood only to the brain and critical muscles. Everything else goes dormant. And then there's the brain, 6 times larger than ours, the largest brain on Earth. Not necessarily the smartest, intelligence doesn't scale linearly with size, but structured in ways we're only beginning to understand. Massive regions devoted to processing sound, neural pathways designed for 3-dimensional spatial mapping in complete darkness. This isn't just an animal that adapted to the deep. This is an animal that rewrote the rules of what's biologically possible. But surviving the deep requires more than engineering. It requires intelligence. Sperm whales don't just click for hunting. They click to talk. The patterns are called codas. Rhythmic sequences of clicks that sound almost like Morse code. 1, 1, 3. 4, 2, 1. 3, 1, 2. Each pattern distinct, each one repeated, each one recognized by other whales across miles of ocean. And here's where it gets strange. Different clans have different dialects. Whales in the Caribbean don't click the same way as whales off the coast of Japan. Pods that travel together develop shared clicking patterns, signature sequences that identify them to other groups. It's not instinct, it's learned. Calves don't instinctively know their clan's quota. They're taught by listening, by mimicking, by practicing until they get it right. This is culture in the true anthropological sense of the word. But it goes deeper. Some scientists believe sperm whale codas may have syntax, structural rules that allow them to combine clicks in meaningful ways, like words forming sentences. If true, it would mean sperm whales aren't just communicating, they are speaking. In 2021, researchers launched the Earth Species Project, using AI to analyze thousands of hours of recorded whale clicks. The goal? Decode the language, find patterns humans can't detect, understand what they're actually saying. We're not there yet, but early results suggest the complexity is staggering, far beyond what we see in dolphins or other cetaceans. Some researchers think sperm whale communication might be more sophisticated than human language, not in content, but in structure. A single sperm whale influences life across an entire ocean in ways we didn't understand until recently. Sperm whales don't just live in the deep. They live between worlds, diving thousands of meters to hunt, then rising back to the surface to breathe, rest, socialize, and care for their young. They travel in tight-knit family groups led by older females, the matriarchs who guide the pod across entire ocean basins. These migrations aren't random wandering. They're inheritance. Roots passed down from grandmother to mother to calf. Lines carved through the ocean that trace feeding grounds, warm water nurseries, and ancient safe zones where calves were once raised before the age of ships and engines. And with every dive they make, and every breath they take at the surface, they change the ocean around them. Here's something no one expected. Sperm whales fertilize the sea. When they rise from the deep, they bring nutrients, especially iron, from waters where sunlight never reaches, up to the surface, where plankton live. And plankton are the foundation of everything, the base of the food chain, the producers of half the oxygen on Earth. One whale can stimulate as much carbon capture as thousands of trees. A pod of whales may influence climate cycles. An entire population, planet-level consequences. They don't just survive the ocean, they help build it. And even in death, their work continues. A whale fall, the sinking of a dead whale to the seafloor, creates a city in the dark. A single whale can feed an entire deep-sea ecosystem for 100 years. Crabs, eels, worms, sharks. Thousands of animals survive because a giant sank into the abyss. It's one of the most dramatic transfers of energy in nature. Life becoming life. Death becoming an entire world. This is why sperm whales are unlike any other whale. Baleen whales filter feed. Orcas hunt intelligently, but sperm whales dive deeper, stay longer, communicate more complexly, form richer family structures, and shape the ocean in ways no other species does. They are engineers, matriarchs, hunters, teachers, navigators, and the living memory of the sea.